I was back in Milwaukee in this GE healthcare job in United States. And then I was asked to move to a commercial finance business in Connecticut, in New York. So this business was into asset-based and cash flow lending, securitization, project financing, junior secured second lien, equity capital, interest management. Believe you me, these terms were also alien to me at that time. I was like, what is securitization when I was asked to take this job? I knew nothing about this business, but not accepting the role was not an option for me. So I joined the business. I realized we had an amazing set of salespeople, but still very unhappy clients. And unhappy clients because there were operational challenges. Customers would not get their loan amounts in time. There were accuracy challenges. And even so that sometimes customers would get not one, but two checks. They should have been delighted, but they were not delighted because there were so many errors in the way things were happening. And I realized I was asked to come join this business because my strength was operations and processes. I was an operations management leadership program graduate. So therefore, I was put there. I was thrown amongst a peer group which were 10 or 20 years senior to me. And they had all MBA finance degrees. And when I was on my day one, when I was introduced by my COO, my peers looked at our CEO and thought that he's gone crazy. He's gotten somebody on board who has no background, no proven track record, doesn't even understand the basic finance instruments. Very quickly, I realized that when you have to join a new business, the only way that I thought was going to help me is, number one, asking a lot of questions. So I dedicated my first 2 weeks to interviewing peer group. I asked them all the 4 W's and 1 why. Who, what, when, where, how, why. Just so many questions that I asked to assimilate myself with, what was going on and how do I best contribute. So, and then I started to leverage what I was good at. I was good at process. I was good at operational training. I created some allies in the process. In order to do that, I actually decided that I'm going to have a lunch with somebody different in the team each day. So every day I would ask, can you join me for lunch? And started eating with a new member of the team. Started to get to know them personally and slowly started to build a rapport with them where they would actually come and walk up to me and started sharing their views. The third thing, other than the first 2 that I mentioned, was I realized that more than this, I also needed domain knowledge. I wasn't a finance person and it could only take me so far if I knew processes, if I had made some good supporters of me in the organization. But I realized I needed an MBA degree. My biomedical instrumentation degree was not going to be enough. So I decided to apply for an MBA. And I wanted to do it from an Ivy League university. This job was in Connecticut in United States. So I applied for NYU Stern. It wasn't too far. It was just within like 1.5 hour distance from where I was in Connecticut. And thankfully, the business at that time, GE agreed to sponsor me. They said, we'll pay for your MBA. So I applied. A year later, I got a call from NYU saying there was some administrative glitch because of which the decision got delayed and I was on wait list. They wanted to get my documentation degree from India and the India university and the US university. They couldn't, connect in time. So anyways, I was asked to join for the upcoming session, which was 6 months from then. By then, my personal front situation absolutely completely changed. It was 2008 when Lehman Brothers fiasco happened. My husband was working for Lehman Brothers. He lost his job. He had to move back to India. GE's commercial finance business where I had joined, they were downsizing and I was asked to move to transportation business. Not only did I have to change the business, but I had to move out of New York. So I moved to Erie, Pennsylvania. And by this time, I had a 6-month-old baby. In a place called Erie, Pennsylvania, I did not know anybody. I had a 6-month-old baby. Husband had moved to India. And I didn't know anybody personally. And of those of you who've traveled to US, you know that getting domestic help there is next to impossible. So while for some, this choice could have been easy and clear. That, I can't do this MBA right now. But for me, it wasn't a clear choice. It was a very tough choice. I did not want to drop my MBA. So I accepted the admission. I packed my bags, relocated to Erie, Pennsylvania with my son. We moved there. I found an amazing daycare for my son. Over a period of time, my schedule got set in stone, like every minute was set in stone, where my days would start to get super efficient. I would drop my son to daycare at 7 a.m., reach work at 8 a.m., keep my days efficient in a manner that I could get out by 5 o'clock. And then I had to hard stop and go pick up my son. And for those of you who have been in the United States, the daycares there, they actually submit your child in a police station if you're not there in time to pick up your kid. So that was the story. When I would go home with my son, I would spend 2 hours of good quality time with him and put him in bed sharp at 8 o'clock. And after 8 o'clock is when my MBA studying would start. So from over a period of time, all my college mates, everybody knew that we had to do group assignments. We had a ton of homework in any MBA in US, as you would know. And from 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock would be my study time. And they all started aligning to my schedule where they would do calls in the night versus during the day. And, this is how I got homework done. Come Friday evening, I had to take a flight from Erie, Pennsylvania to New York, where the classes would happen on the weekend. I would pick up my son from the daycare, go straight to the airport. In a few months, the entire airport staff got to know me because I was a frequent Friday traveler. And a mother and baby traveling every Friday had become, Erie being a small airport, pretty much every staff, every security, every person on the plane knew us. I shared the story in detail, but I do want to share what it led to. It got me promoted as a director of BPO for the entire GE business. One. And second, I was moved to India. GE actually moved me to India because they knew that this was the situation. They promoted me with a higher salary. And, something that many people don't get that easily, which is I got an expat nanny to come with me. A nanny who was a child psychologist, who had an undergrad BA degree, was very well spoken in English. Because my child was speaking English as he was born in US, he was not speaking much of Hindi. More importantly, it's not the promotion that I got and moving to India, but what was more important and what stays with me till date is not so much about, what I learned. I finished my MBA degree. I learned finance. I learned organization development. I learned strategy. But what stays with me is how the time could expand and time could contract based on what you really want to do. Because I wanted to do this, I was able to fit in, and your schedule can be managed based on what you really want to do. As I was moving back from US to India to take up this job, my farewell title that they gave to me was a Powerpuff girl. So this is a character from a famous American TV animation series where there's a cartoon character of a very short, small height, but a very powerful girl who would want to change the world. So they named me Powerpuff Girl. There's just so much that when I look back to thank for that over a period of time, it's just that, when one desires, the universe converse. I had neighbors who were so super helpful. I found colleagues who were super helpful. I look back and I learned so much that, the can-do attitude. So a lot of times when you are in this crossroad of whether I can do or I can't do, and the choice is not very clear to you, just follow your heart and everything else aligns. So that's my story about I can or I can't, where I had to go through this crossroad.